Okay, so here's an update on the restoration of the 1925 Indian Prince 350 single. We've just put the rear swing frame on the back of this bike right here, and it was actually extremely difficult due to the fact that what we have here is this particular casting right in there. You can easily get a buildup of paint right there when you're doing the paint work on the bike, and also paint buildup there in between that top neck casting and the back part of the swing frame. So what I found was the best way to actually do this was it's pretty much nearly a three-person job. So we have a jig made up right here for it, which holds the front part, which you really need, which is like a silent third person. We had the second person hold up in this area up here just to keep it stiff, and I actually had to climb up on this table right here to get behind the frame from this angle, like such. So to get it to slip in there without chipping any paint, what I had to do was I had to get up here like this, and I had to make sure that my legs were kind of in behind here, and you need to make sure you get this first casting in down here. Now the reason why you have to get that first casting in is if you were to put this in the top first, you can only swing downwards like a pendulum, which gives you only one direction of getting that casting in, and that can be a problem. So what I chose to do was leave this casting out and back toward me and slip the casting over forward this way as not to scratch any paint, and then used petroleum jelly to help it slide. And then what I did was I just gave it a couple of small taps on the back here like this with the dead blue hammer and that from behind, whilst holding this top casting back so that it didn't get pushed up and chip any of the frame. So that's how difficult it was to get the back half on there. Also, you're able to, when you do this top one right here, is you're able to open it up a little. There's a little bit of flex there of a mil or two, which helps out. So that was a lot easier getting it on from that direction. But you definitely have to put this casting on first before you do the top, because there's just no room. The other thing that you want to make sure is, if you can use the original bolts where you can, like this particular one right here, it's been re-nickeled. You can see on the end of that there is a round curve. Now that helps get it through the hole. Unlike this one here is a remade one. We have to remake this and machine it up because they don't make this particular bolt with that 24 threads to the inch, but it has a flat end, which could be very detrimental to the paint and chipping. Luckily enough, we're able to get through that because I was able to test fit that hole first before we slipped this casting on, and I made sure that it wasn't able to chip. But that was a pretty big risk, knowing that these threads are extremely sharp and could have caught right there on the inside here and actually chipped all of the paint away. But I had done a little bit of extra work just to make sure that that didn't happen. So now we can see the 25 Prince slowly coming together right now as a whole. It's starting to look more like a complete bike right now. The other difficult part was to make sure we got paint right up in these curves right in here. And when you spray in this particular frame, a lot of these edges aren't symmetrically opposite each other. Some stick out further than the other. So when you paint that, you can easily forget after you've finished spray painting that you come back and you look and you don't realize there's enough material on that edge. The other part too is getting up into these little crevices in here and stuff on the frame, way down in there, making sure there's paint up in there. So also up in these corners right here, It's easy to not get any paint up there. What I did was I plugged all of these holes with ear plugs. A single ear plug will fit in these holes right here, but the larger holes like this here and this here would need 2 ear plugs squeezed together. And when you put the ear plugs in these particular castings, you don't want the rounded part of the ear plug sticking out. You want the flat part of the ear plug sticking out first. You want the flat part right pushed in there, just a couple of mils there. So we were able to get this back swing arm on here successfully without chipping anything. And this is what it looks like. If you look right down in here, you can see we didn't chip the paint, so we got very lucky being able to get that on there. There's no chip down in there. It's all the extra effort you have to put in slowly. And I'll give you more update when we slowly get a bit more together with the engine now.